welcome to SoNicky podcast. It's me, your favorite homegirl, Nikki. I hope you are good. I hope you are blessed. And welcome back to the studio. I have been posting some of my other work while I've been out of the studio. You know how life gets, but let's not make excuses. I'm really happy to see you here and I'm happy to meet you here. So if you're new here, my name is Nikki. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, the SoNicky YouTube channel. That's SoNicky. Follow SoNicky podcast on Instagram. And if you're on the TikTok, you lot know I love a bit of TikTok. Follow SoNicky on TikTok. I hope you're feeling loved and I hope you're feeling blessed. It's been a minute. Should I say Happy New Year? Because it's March. Like, I haven't been in the studio since my Christmas/New Year episode. So I hope the first quarter of 2026 is treating you well. Before we get into it, my SoNicky special today, I just have the sparkling water. Okay? I don't want to hear no sparkling water slander. I just have the sparkling water and that's it. I just have the sparkling water. That's all I need in this episode, okay? Other than that, I hope everyone's good. You know, what have you lot been up to? Let me know in the comments. Share this with a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a colleague to tell their baby daddy's cousin, okay? So, yeah. First of all, while I've been away, I have a whole new show with KG the comedian. We go live on YouTube every Sunday and the show is called Bell to Belt. For those of you that don't know, you're definitely new here if you don't know. I'm a huge wrestling fan and KG the comedian and we have a show live every Sunday where we just run down wrestling and of course, I bring the gossip. So we run down wrestling for the week and I bring some hot tea in the wrestling streets. I do have some for you today, maybe. But check out Bell to Bell. And also, when you see the clips, repost and share it. Come on now. Let's whiten up the community. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Yo, life is lifing. I think in like all of the nice ways possible, life is lifing. Sometimes when we say life is lifing, we just like assume that is just negative. It's not negative. Of course, we're getting older. We're getting a bit tired, you know. It happens, but life has been lifing. Your girl has been busy. Of course, I've been doing my wrestling content. I'm studying. I work full time, but I'm still here. I'm still here. So those of you that have just carried on supporting, reposting, commenting and sharing stuff, thank you so much. But life has been lifing. And I don't know about you, but is everyone just tired? Is everyone just tired? Because I just be feeling tired. I've listed a bunch of stuff that I do, but then am I supposed to be this tired? I don't know. Let me know. Is this a millennial thing where we're all just growing tired because we have to keep up with so much just to sustain life? That's what it is that we have to do so much to sustain life, to make sure we're making money, to make sure we're keeping our bills paid, to make sure we're trying to be healthier and have our mind together. These are all good things, but it's so tiring. Anyway, I always say no one complains more about being an adult than me. So I guess that's just what it is. So one thing that I'm really looking forward to this year, I haven't been back home to Ghana in a while. You lot, let me tell you, what happened the other day when I went to the Ghana High Commission. I even wrote down some notes. I had to write down some notes. Let me tell you what happened. So I've always heard about the Ghana High Commission, right, being a very hectic place. I've always heard that the Ghana High Commission, like when you go, you need nothing but pure patience. Now, all the times when I've been to Ghana, I hold a British passport, but my dad, you see, I'm so spoiled. Like my dad always used to go and get my visas for me. I didn't know what my dad was suffering through when he was going to collect these visas. Yo, it's a whole process. So I get to my appointment. My appointment at the Ghana High Commission the other day was 11 o'clock. I made enough time for my journey. I got there about 10 to 11. So when I got there, I collected like this ticket with a number, you know, obviously you've arrived for your appointment, take this ticket, right? And I go into like their main waiting area. There was quite a few people there. And I think even for me, even though this was my first time there, I kind of feel like the day that I went there wasn't even like their busiest day. That's what's scary. That's what's scary. Like, I don't feel like this was the busiest day. So I get there now, I see all the different like stations and like teller points, however you want to call it. And I went and sat down. And I can hear the speaker where they're calling out the different numbers. But then my first number that I got was like number 17 or something. And then when I was sitting down, I heard number 300 and something. So I was thinking, okay, what's going on? But then a couple of minutes later, I clocked like people have different numbers for the different stages of the process. So I waited about an hour, the first hour, to go and give the passport application that they asked me to bring and my ID and whatnot, right? Cool. I did that. They called my number 17. I walked up to the counter, gave them my application with my ID, and I did have a Ghana passport when I was a lot younger, but then it was never used because I went to Ghana a lot later. So I've had a Ghanaian passport, but it's never been used. So cool, I went with the old passport now, gave it to the people at the counter, and that was it. They gave me a new number and went to go sit back down. So this was just after 12 o'clock. Just know the next number like that they gave me, which was number 500 and something, I didn't get called till about maybe quarter to three. It was such a long wait. But then because I've been told all these stories about the Ghana High Commission, right? I think I'm quite impatient as well. But somehow I had just all the patience in the world. And then I knew that this day was dedicated to me doing this. So I'm just sitting there before the last number, the 500 and something was called. I'm just sitting there and I'm taking in all the things that are going on. There was so much going on. So there were these kids in the waiting area. Now, I went on a Monday. I had a day off work, right, to do this. I went on a Monday during term time, and these kids, they were not in school, okay? So I think there was about 4 of them, and they wouldn't stop playing with this water dispenser. And everybody was looking around thinking, where are these kids' parents, right? Why were other people telling off these kids? And these kids did not give a damn. They didn't give a damn. Like, you see sometimes when you go somewhere and you see kids acting up, sometimes you might laugh and you might think, oh God, they're being cute, or, oh, wow, they're, a little bit energetic. These kids did not care at all. They didn't care. So all of that was going on. They were running in and out. They were playing with like the main doors. Imagine they're playing with like the main electric doors to the waiting area. So I was just looking around like, whew, ciao. And then there was another little kid with this other family. This kid was about 2. Oh my God, out of the blue, this boy jumped out from the buggy, walked into like the middle of like the walkway, like where all the seats are, all the waiting seats are, and he just threw himself on the floor. And I just felt it for it looked like they were his grandparents that were with him. Well, the lady was saying, come to grandma. And I just felt it for them because, I don't have children, but then it's like, what do you do? Like, you see parents, when this happens to you, especially in a place where the atmosphere is tense, like the Ghana High Commission, because you're waiting for so long to do quite, I want to say, a basic application, yeah? Yo. I don't know, like, what the hell? So that happened, and I'm just looking at the child on the floor like, ooh, child, like, what do you do when your kid just throws themselves on the floor? Like, when I was younger, I don't feel like my behavior was like that when I was toddler age, or even like, you see that mid-primary school age, like 5 and 6, just acting up, if you will. My behavior wasn't like that. But these parents, like the older kids, we didn't even know who their parents was. I think they had just given up. But then the grandparents, I should say, of the 2-year-old, it was just so frustrating. And this was like the atmosphere of what was happening. So while all of this is happening, a guy has come in there and he's just going absolutely nuts at the people at the counter. He was like, if you don't want me to come to your country, give me my money back. Blah, 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 yeah, ga, ga, ga. Yo, it was so tense. And I really wanted to step in and just be like, can you not be so rude? Like, these people, they're just doing their job. I don't know why it takes so long for appointments there. I don't know why it takes so long. But then I just wanted to be like, you don't have to walk in and start shouting and start being rude and disrespectful to people. And now you're telling them, oh, if you don't want me in your country, they don't control your entry to the country. You could fly to the country and they could deny you entry there. So like all of that backstory and all these feelings he was giving, I just didn't really understand it. I just didn't really understand it at all. So it was just a bit, I don't know. But then all of this was going on, and you know when you're not supposed to be staring at something and you just end up staring at it. So there was a man sitting in front of me, and all the seats at the Ghana High Commission are in rows, right? And there's a man sitting in front of me to my left. So if I just lean over a little bit, I can see like what he's doing on his phone. This man was watching like pelvic floor exercises, like a woman doing like exercises like tooting your bum in and out, squatting, things to improve your pelvic floor. And I knew it was that type of video because I could read the caption. And at that point, that's when I said, I'm just done with the Ghana High Commission at this point. Because why are you sitting there watching pelvic floor exercises? And you see, at that point, I said, wrap it up. Somebody fast forward the application, wrap it up and let's go. I was done. Guys, I don't know, you know, if I ever want to go there again. Big up my Ghanaians. I love being Ghanaian. But you see that whole process of waiting, even though I wasn't as frustrated as everybody else that was there that day, I don't want to go through that again. I'm seeing pelvic floor exercises, some man watching pelvic floor videos, 2-year-olds throwing themselves on the floor, kids are playing with the water dispenser and the electric door. Some man's coming in and he's shouting about not wanting to go to the country anymore if the Ghanaians don't want him in their country. It was too much. It was absolutely too much. Like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't get it. So let me tell you this part, yeah? So after the how many hours, nearly 3 hours of waiting for my second number to be called, right? After the nearly 3 hours, yeah, I go to this is the last part of the appointment that was at 11 o'clock, yeah? Go to sit in, so my number was called, and the counter I needed to go to was like in the corner. You go through like this little bit and go into the corner. And there's a seat. So you sit there and they tell you they're going to take a picture of you, okay? So I sat there, took the picture. You've got to do this biometric thing. So do your handprints, your fingerprints, and then you do an electronic signature. And then they just ask you, you know, to check all your details, make sure everything's good. Checked it, everything's good. And then they were like, yeah, that's it. And I said, do I need to sit down again? Is there anything I need to do? No, that's the appointment. I waited 3 hours. 3 hours on top of the original first part of the appointment, where I waited an hour just to hand the physical application to them. 3 hours after that to take a picture, do fingerprints, and do an electronic signature. And that whole process, you see the fingerprints, signature, the picture, yeah? That whole process took, how long did it take? That whole process took about 3 minutes. Took about 3 minutes. And that was it. So someone at the Ghana High Commission needs to let me know. Like, I don't know. But if you have any Ghana High Commission stories, let me know in the comments, please. Let me know in the comments, or fast forward this to one of your aunties. I know some of you lot, when I talk about Ghanaians, I know some of you lot are doing that, but let me know in the comments, okay? Okay, so another thing, what else have I been doing? Do you know something that I thought of the other day? I was thinking, right? So the other day I went to Costco. We all love a good Costco shop. The other day I went to Costco, yeah? And listen, when is Costco not like busy? It was so busy. So I go to Costco and then I'm just in the queue. Do you know something I find so wholesome? I find when there's something about when black people see each other. Yeah? There's something about when black people see each other, right? We get so excited, as long as it's genuine. You know, sometimes some people can just be fake as hell. But then you see when it's genuine, there's genuine love and you've missed somebody or you didn't recognize somebody. I love when black people see each other outside. It's just so wholesome. So I'm in the queue at Costco. It was a long ass queue and I wasn't even feeling well that day. So I'm just standing in the long queue, just minding my business. And then in the queue next to my, like on my right, there was this lady, like Nigerian lady, because I could hear her speaking Yoruba. And she's just talking, and then she was just sort of pointing around, and she sees someone that she knows. They come, they hug. They're like, it's been two ladies, by the way, and they're like, oh, it's so nice to see you. Oh, you're not working today. Blah 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 blah. I can't lie. It's given they were nurses because they were like, you're not working today. And I went there on a Saturday. So I don't know. I was making up the story in my head of like where they knew each other. So one of the other ladies was with another lady. When they saw each other, listen, the lady took her glasses off. So the lady that was already in the queue took her glasses off. She said, it cannot be you that I'm seeing. And they hugged, they got their phones out, they were swapping numbers. So imagine the lady in the queue next to me, she saw another lady that was then with another lady that she hadn't seen in a long time. And I just stared at them and I was so happy for them in that moment because it was like, there's just something about black people. When we see each other, the joy that we have, like, especially, you know, when you see the aunties or even when it's like little kids, you know, there's just something about the joy that we have when we see each other. Like, this happened to me recently where all of you know how much I love my job. I like going to work. So I was at work. So it's a Monday morning. I've gone to work and I have like a routine when I get into the office. So I go and get my laptops. I use 2 laptops for work. Don't even ask why. Don't even ask why. So I go in, I get my laptops, I set up, I open emails, quickly scan to see if there was like anything urgent to respond to. Once I do that, I get my hot water bottle because my office is really cold and I don't like that. So I get my hot water bottle and I go and make a cup of tea. So I've gone to make the tea on this particular Monday, but then I'm like, damn, I didn't do the hot water bottle. So I've gone to do the hot water bottle and I've come into my office and my office is quite wide. So I've come in and I'm going to the left of the room. I glance to the right and then I'm just like, my friend Nana has just started, like, we work in the same place. So me and Nana see each other. We literally do, and the thing is, you know, black people, when we get excited, we do a lot of actions. When black people get excited, we do a lot of actions. Like, even me, I do a lot of hand gestures in general. But then when we see each other, we're excited. I'm trying to be like you, my guy. You know, that all of that stuff. Me and Nana saw each other. Literally, there was silence in the room. We both just gasped and we went, ran. First of all, I don't run for nothing. I don't run for shit. We ran towards each other, jumped, hug. He was like, no, I was going to tell you. Da, 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 da. And then it was just a nice, warm embrace. And people in the office were like, so I take it you're friends then? And I'm like, that's my homie. That's Listen, you lot need to know about this guy. That's the homie. So those moments, I was just thinking about this, and I'm like, when black people see each other, it's so nice and it can be very warm. I don't know if I've told this story here before. I feel like I might have recorded it for TikTok and I never shared it. So a lot of people know I've spoken about it a good couple of times in the last few episodes. I'm currently doing my master's, and on my course, like my whole entire cohort, there's 35 people. I am one of 2 black people on the entire cohort. So I remember my first day of uni in September, and to be honest, I don't know what I expected in terms of race, but I'm just happy to be there, innit? Like, I'm just happy to be there. So I remember, like, as the classes, people are showing up for the first day, our induction day, and I had seen someone that I knew already there, someone I'd interviewed with at another university. And when the other black girl walked in, we sort of looked at each other like, and you see the hand gestures. So we did the get to know you exercise, and people started mingling during the get to know you exercise. And then before I could even get up, she came over to talk to me. I'm Ghanaian, she's Nigerian. And of course, we're Africans, so we've got that in common. And first of all, it was nice to see another black woman training up in this field, because it's not the biggest field for us. But hey, I'm happy to see somebody who has a similar background, similar culture in this field, like the representation of it is really nice. So when she came over to me, she was like, when I saw you, I just had to come and talk to you. And I was like, I was hoping you'd come and talk to me. So we struck up a conversation. And then she said, when the black girls see each other, right, we have to... And here come the hand gestures. So you see, all of these things is so nice. When I like seeing black people just embrace each other. It's so nice. It's so warm. Like, especially when we talk about the UK being bad vibes. Like, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but it is when it's genuine, the warmth that you have from, the stories I've just told, from observing other people embrace each other in a warm, loving way. People that people that you want to get to know. I think it's so nice and it's so beautiful. And even though this is my first show of 2026, I think that's what I would like more of. I would like more warm, loving moments with people. And I listen, do you want that? Is that what you want? Because I'm just thinking, like, I'm looking around, like, in, like, just socially. And I just think, even on social media, I'm just like, listen, some people just need love. Some people just need a hug, especially the people that look like us. That's all we need. We just need spaces where we can just feel comfortable to be ourselves. You don't hide your interests. Don't hide what you're passionate about. Don't hide who you are. Even if it's the way you dress, the way you do your hair, the music that you like, the food you like to eat, opinions that you have, we can express ourselves and be ourselves without having to hurt one another. And I think we forget that. And imagine all of these thoughts just came from seeing people who look like me, just being loving and just being kind to one another. I can't lie. Sometimes I have some moments. I'm not trying to hear some people. There are certain things I'm not trying to hear, certain things that I don't want to embrace. But then as, the months and the weeks are progressing, and I'm noticing certain things about how important it is to be warm to one another. Even making friends as an adult. Like, I've recently made one new friend. It's been a couple of months. I've taken like a couple of months to get to know this person. But it's just been nice, like, especially when you realize that you have similar upbringings, you have similar interests, you bond in such different ways. I think we're all just missing that, especially our social scene here in London. I don't want to say the whole UK because I haven't been everywhere, but then especially in London, like, we're a bit stiff sometimes. And I think we need to be able to trust ourselves, to put ourselves in places where we can just be ourselves. I think that's what it is. So that you see all these warm embraces, all of this, I'm trying to be like you, my guy. Like, it's going to be more natural for us if we let that guard down. Because I can't remember who it was, but I know it was another content creator. They talked about people started being aggy towards one another, or the UK started becoming bad vibes when, you know, regular people started treating their friends like their fans, or treating people around them like their fans. And that sits with me as I'm talking about this, because listen, put yourself in the space where you're just not sort of like craving a level of attention for something that is unique about you. I hope that makes sense. That made sense in my head. But then, like, let's allow ourselves to be in a space where we can be warm, we can love. Listen, if you don't like someone, yeah, I've said this several times. If you do not like somebody, leave them alone. Leave them alone. If you don't like someone, somebody you hang out with, someone that's in your friendship group, it could even be a family member. If you don't truly like that person, don't allow the time that you've had in your relationship, because we're family, to keep you guys in some sort of a bondage, like you must have a relationship. It's okay not to like someone. It's okay not to be on the same page as someone. Some people just grow apart, but we can do so respectfully. But something about our generation and us lot here in London, we start to grow resentment, or we realize that we don't really mess with somebody, no matter what the relationship dynamic is, whether you're family, you grew up together, you went to school together, you went uni together, you're friends because you used to work together, yeah? There is something about just not being honest with how you feel. And this is where people start allowing disrespect. And that's not cool. If you don't like someone, leave them alone. Leave them alone, because I'm really trying to give out better energy, because I'm sure there's been times where I haven't given out good energy. I'm very sure. I'm sure somebody watching this or listening to this right now be like, Nikki, one time I met you and no. Nikki, one time I met you and you were a bit off. Someone could also say, Nikki, when I met you, you were so amazing. You were so kind, you know. You were so kind. You were so amazing. But then I'm trying to be mindful of that energy that I put out. If we're not cool anymore, I'm trying to be mindful and just being like, do you know what? I can just be over here and you can just be over there. Not everything needs to be a fight. Not everything needs to be a back and forth. Like, not everything needs to be indirects. You know, our social media, this social media generation, we love indirects and whatnot. I personally don't do stuff like that. But, I'm really trying to open up this year with peace. And I feel like I have. We're in March. I'm talking like I'm shooting this episode in January. No, we're in March. Let there be more peace. If somebody ain't rocking with you, it's very painful, especially when you've had a relationship with someone, whether it's a platonic relationship, a romantic relationship, even a working relationship, whatever it is. Like, if that person don't mess with you, you can let it go. If you want to talk about it, you create that space to talk about it. Sometimes a lot of things can be left unsaid, and some people can walk away in peace. But listen, one thing that I want to see more of is just genuine love, kindness, respect. Sometimes I can't lie. You see someone like me, my mouth can be sharp. If you catch me on a bad day, I could be like, that person can do one, or whatever choice words I choose to use. But I'm actually putting it out there that I'm making a conscious effort to be more open with people, to be more loving and comforting. But shit happens, innit? Like, shit happens. So I'm just trying to see more of that. So that's my breathing ground for today. And you know what? Some of these things were on my mind, because the other day I was thinking, is thinking too much unhealthy? Like, I don't know about you, but have you ever had a time where, I don't know, of course, something's bothering you, someone's hurt you, I don't know, you're thinking about saving money. What are things that bother people? I don't know, you're thinking about launching the type of career. I'm not too sure. I'm just stating things that are generally on people's minds, right? Things that just invoke a lot of thinking. Do you ever feel like having too much time on your hands to think is healthy? Because I was thinking about this the other day. I was having a moment where I was really overthinking about a situation where I was really hurt by somebody, and I replayed like a few things in my mind over and over, and the feeling that I felt in my body, I knew immediately this is unhealthy. My heart was racing, like my heart was pounding. I was just like, it just affected my mood. And then I was just thinking, why am I allowing so much time to think about this? Like, to have thoughts and to replay stuff is just normal human stuff. But then sometimes, is thinking too much unhealthy? Because I noticed how thinking about this situation just affected my mood. Like, even like my body language, like my shoulders felt very tense and very heavy, because I know that I was, hurt or affected by this situation. But then I'm just thinking, I know I didn't want to address this. I know I didn't want to, give time to it, because I needed my breathing space. But then it's just like, it's too much thinking unhealthy sometimes. I don't know. I wanted to add this in here just for you to think about, like, or for anyone listening to think about. Yeah, just for you to think about. Is too much thinking unhealthy sometimes? When we're thinking, like, what do you do to sort of calm yourself down or to put yourself back in a healthier thinking space? Like, what do you do? Like me, sometimes when I do that, and I feel like I'm getting worked up over some thoughts, or I'm getting upset because there's something, that might not be so positive on my mind. If I'm at home, I go have a lay down. When I'm at work, I'm in the office, I go have a walk. We have a massive forest to walk in where I work. So I go for a walk, go for some fresh air. I might call somebody for a distraction. Those are some of the things that I do. But then I just really wanted to squeeze this at the end of this episode and just, is too much thinking unhealthy? Are some things best left unsaid? Yeah, just think about that for me. But anyway, this has been SoNicky Podcast. Thank you for tuning in with me. I hope you're good. I hope you're feeling loved, and I hope you're feeling blessed. Whatever you think of this episode, please start commenting on the streaming platforms. Subscribe to my channel, SoNicky's YouTube channel. That's SoNicky. Bell to Belt with myself and KG the comedian is also on YouTube live on Sunday evenings. Please pay attention to our stories for the times. Sometimes we do switch up the times, so I will leave that in there in my stories for you guys. For those of you that have me on my personal page on social media, follow SoNicky Podcast on Instagram, SoNicky on the TikTok. And until next time, you guys, see you soon.